Hi, today we're going to be talking about horse genetics. Nature ordained that genetics were going to be applied to horse breeding long before there were geneticists. Prior to the domestication of the horse, there were natural selection for speed and stamina. One of the most important defense mechanisms of the horse was its ability to outrun its enemies. Now, with this ability to outrun its enemies, those that were able to outrun the predators were the ones that were able to reproduce and pass on their genetics. So this is one of the reasons that we consider a horse to be a flight animal, is they are going to take off and they have that desired genetic. Natural selection was probably very effective in improving speed and endurance, since lower horses were eliminated by predators, like I just said. Many horse breeders have been practicing genetics as they concern themselves with the breeding. Their guiding concept of heredity is that like begets like. So whatever they have there is going to produce something very similar. Breeders in the 18th century made a tremendous contribution, pointing the way toward horse improvement before Mendel's law became known to the world. As knowledge of genetics developed, there evolved an understanding of the science that underlies the art of horse breeding. Now, genetics are the bodies of animals are made up of millions or even billions of microscopic cells. Each cell contains a nucleus in which there are a number of pairs or bundles called chromosomes. In turn, the chromosomes carry pairs of minute particles called genes, which are the basic hereditary material. The nucleus of each cell of a horse contains 32 pairs of chromosomes, or a total of 64. There are thousands of pairs of genes on the chromosome. Genes determine all the hereditary characteristics of animals, from the body type to the hair color. The mule, which is the offspring of a donkey and a horse, has an uneven number of chromosomes. Therefore, this makes it so it cannot reproduce. The genotype of an animal refers to the specific genes it possesses on its chromosomes. And a genome describes the complete set of instructions for making that specific organism. Now, genetic dominance is going to be when we have one gene that dominates and shows full expression of a full allele over another. An example would be when a gray horse will produce another gray horse. A recessive characteristic will appear only when both members of a pair of alleles are alike. So if we have, a good example would be a black horse and we breed it to a chestnut, because that black color will dominate over the chestnut, more than likely, depending on what genes that black horse has passed on to its offspring, it will more than likely be a black horse that comes from it. The job of transmitting qualities from one generation to the next is performed by the gene cells, a sperm from the male and an ovum from the egg from the female. There are alternate forms of each gene. The alternate gene forms are referred to as alleles. If alleles are the same, the condition is referred to as homozygous. If alleles are different, the condition is called heterozygous. Selection and crossbreeding are tools through which horse breeder may obtain stallions and mares whose chromosomes and genes contain similar hereditary determiners, and animals that are genetically more homozygous. Gene changes are known as mutations. A mutation may be defined as a sudden variation that is later passed on through inheritance and that results from changes in a gene or genes. Mutations can be good or they can be bad. Just depends if the trait that is affected is one that you wanted changed. Dominant and recessive alleles. The dominant allele may cover up the recessive. Therefore, a horse's breeding performance cannot be recognized by its phenotype or how it looks. Recessive genes can be passed from generation to generation, appearing only when two animals, both of which carry the same allele, happen to mate. Reputable breeders have an obligation not only to themselves but their customers. Purebred animals must be purged of undesirable genes by eliminating those stallions and mares that are known to have transmitted the undesirable recessive genes. Horse color is one of the big things that we've been using genetics to change. Recent advances in genetics have allowed us to understand better how coat color is inherited, making it possible to plan matings that will produce foals of certain colors. Thank you for watching.